Hi, everybody. I'm back, and it is Sunday, January 31st. Um, okay, I want to explain, um, like, when I refer to, like, for instance, my guides, I'll use it that way to explain it for now. Um, I think all of us that are searching for the truth, have come across people with videos that are, let's say, channeling somebody or, um, you know, um, getting downloads or whatever. But as we know, even just just kind of being a student of history, or even, for instance, different religions, we realize that people, even like I said, when you hear whether it's whether it's a myth or a fable, or especially when it comes to religions, that people get contacted by uh, guides, I guess, in a sense, or uh, maybe guardian angels or something. And, it always depends on how you look at it, I guess. But basically, there's lots of stories of people getting some sort of inspiration. Whether it's a dream, they had a dream, and then they envisioned something. Well, we all know that we have dreams, and we sometimes we hear voices in our head or something. Um, but for most people, you kind of question it all the time, because it's like, well, how real is it? And kind of what does it mean? So I'm no different from anybody else. I mean, I get, well, especially because I'm an artist, I get inspiration a lot. Now, whether it's divine inspiration, I don't know, but I'm just saying, everybody kind of gets thoughts in their head, and they're like, hey, where'd that thought come from? That's a cool idea. We call it inspiration. Um, but I want to kind of explain, uh, when I call them downloads, or information that I get in here, into my brain. And so you guys can understand that, you can take it or leave it. This is, I'm only kind of making these videos as kind of a record for myself, but also I'm publishing them out there to find out if anybody else is thinking the same thing, or or if this rings true to them. So that's it. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to. I'm not trying to teach anybody anything. I'm just trying to say, hey, is it just me, or is anybody else getting these messages? So, um, for me, it's not. I don't look at it like channeling. Like, I'm not, because I've watched videos of people, and they're you know they close their eyes, and they're be channeling somebody, and they'd be speaking through them. I do believe that's real. I think there's probably some fake ones out there. It's almost like, you know the fake psychic crystal ball readers too. That, there's people that fake it, but I do think it's also legit. I think that people can use our avatar as a channel to speak through, and give us heads up or something. Generally, it's to sort of teach us something, and that's kind of my experience. It's not the reason why I don't call them channeling is it's a voice in my head, and coincidentally, it's in English because I speak English. So you know what I mean. So if I was from another language, if I was from France or something, I'm pretty sure those that information would come through in French. We have our own personal translating system. So, um, but for me, when I get these, they can be in the middle of the day too. Like I said, lately, especially lately. But usually when I go to sleep, and here's the reason why, is because to keep your minds kind of clear, and that's why you'll see these yogis sitting at the top of a mountain going. It just probably does help, to be really honest, because uh, we have so much distraction in our lives. Like, that's why, for instance, I don't watch TV or things like that, because I just want to keep my mind clear, especially lately, because I'm starting to realize I'm trying to understand not only the situation we're in, but kind of what's going on, the bigger picture. That's another thing about me. I've always been in search of the bigger picture, including I've studied a lot of different religions in my lifetime, and I've came to my own personal conclusions about them and things like that. And that's why I kind of stay away from subjects like that, because everybody thinks that their own particular religion is right. You know what I mean? So you're free to believe whatever you want. Um, but so for me, I try to just clear my mind of pretty much anything. You know what I mean? As far as like, because I don't want to have any preconceived ideas. But so just so you understand, I also call it kind of automatic writing, although it's not quite. Um, it's just that I get a whole bunch of information, and I usually keep pieces of paper. Now I do, especially beside my bed. So I'll wake up 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's like, what, okay, and I'll just start writing all this information down. And it's funny because when I'm getting it, it makes a lot of sense. It's like, oh wow, yeah, okay, I get that, yeah. I'm writing it all down. Then I get up in the morning, it's like, wow, that's kind of strange. It's kind of a strange concept, but whatever. I kind of get it. And over a period of time, it starts making more sense to me. So that's why I thought, maybe I should do a video and tell people kind of what I've been getting too. So for me, I mean, I imagine anybody would do this. If you heard voices in your head, I mean, one of the main questions you'd ask is like, where's this coming from? Hello? Is this, and throughout my life, I've also had really strange experiences, esoterical experiences too, like seeing things or, hearing voices and whatever, strange stuff. So I'm always kind of trying to figure out, well, where's this stuff coming from? Because I just want to, anybody wants to think of that. So I basically asked them sort of like, well, who's giving me these messages? And it took a while for them to say something to me. And first of all, at first I thought it was maybe one person, but for some reason, actually almost from day one, I always felt like there was a group. It was a group of people or whatever, a group of spirits that were speaking to me. So eventually they told me, we are a council of 5. I'm thinking, okay, good. Well, now I got a number. There's five of you guys. I kind of suspected so. But I'm thinking, okay, and you are council of 5. Okay, so that still doesn't really answer my questions. So I'll be honest with you right now. I mean, because I've been looking online, trying to figure out, does anybody else talk about Council of 5? Well, finally, I came across a couple videos that, they talked about Council of 5 too. And I've even heard of the Council of 9. I've heard of the Council of 12. And then jokingly, I say I'm my own Council of 1. But anyway, so that's what I'm told. So now, and just like anybody out there that's probably waking up to all this stuff, is we're trying to find out more information all the time. So for me, I'm still looking for answers. So I'm just doing more research, but like I said, I'm just whatever they've been. I don't really call it channeling, but whatever information they tell me, I write it down. I try to make sense of it as best I can, and then I basically just relay it. So if this makes sense to you, great. But if not, I mean, even if, for instance, you only get 50% of what I say, you think, yeah, okay, that kind of makes sense. But the other stuff, woohoo, it's out there. That's fine. So I just want to qualify that. So you understand kind of where I'm coming from. So when I get this information, and like I said, they've been giving me a lot of kind of the bigger picture explanations of kind of what's going on. Because all of us, we live on a day-to-day basis, and we're always trying to figure out what's happening in my particular life, in my particular neighborhood, the laws that in our neighborhood, in our countries, and we're always trying to figure out what it's all about. But for me, I look at that like that's just kind of just not quite frivolous, but just I've always been more of a bigger picture guy. I want to know what's really going on. So I'm the one that's always looking for, you know, from the Wizard of Oz. I want to find out who's behind the curtain and what's their motivation and what's their goals, whatever. I'm not just blindly gonna accept things. That's just the way I am. So now that kind of that's kind of where I'm getting my information from, plus my own personal research, and it's as usual, just trying to make sense of it all. So as I go through a lot of this stuff, some of it is kind of repetitive to a certain extent. It's kind of it qualifies itself, because for some reason they've been telling me things and they don't give me all the information all at once. It's like little bits, and then over, let's say, a week of giving me just little tidbits, then finally it finishes that story. It's like literally pieces of a puzzle. So, and I kind of just attribute that to it's probably just too much information to deal with all at once. So that's why I'm kind of also making these kind of bite size as much as possible too, because I don't want to make these into long discussions. So again, I'm probably telling a lot of you people out there that kind of already know a lot of this stuff, but for me it kind of made a lot of sense. So yeah, I just want to clear that up. That'll be kind of my topic for today, is what are councils and what are what's the difference between a download and a channeling. And like I said, I'm still kind of learning this stuff, because I'm just waking up to all this stuff myself. Like, take for instance the concept of there's no such thing as time. I went like, really? What are you talking about? And including these, the reason I call them these modules too, and I know I'm kind of going back on that topic, is because what they've been telling me is this is like a holographic reality, but it's so high tech that it's a physical reality. Remember how scientists, they're trying to understand it as far as, and same with physicists. What they do is they try to understand this physical reality we're in, and they also start to realize there is kind of like laws to this, and what they're really discovering is it's like computer language laws. Like, okay, it's zeros and ones or whatever, and it's in this case it's like whether it's these little pixels of reality, and they're sort of full of information of what to do, when, that type of thing. But one of the hardest things for me to wrap my mind around about this reality that we're in is we play a part in it. So we are kind of the programmers ourselves. So when we come in here, I say come in here, I mean saying when we come into this reality, and there's a lot of different realities out there. I can go on about that too, but when we come into this reality, what we don't know, well, we do deep down inside, we know this. So like I said, it's like I'm sort of awakening to our old knowledge. So it's really, in a sense, a memory game. I'm remembering how this works. And how it works is we are are the programmers ourselves. We are connected to what you call God or source, but we're programming all this stuff. Um, so, and it's also kind of like almost programming on the fly. We have a base of reality. There's a kind of an ongoing program that keeps dirt, and flowers have an actual, it's a program. They go, okay, they need this much water, this much sunlight, and they grow this tall. They don't grow 80 feet tall. They stop at a certain length. Everything is kind of like has a computer program to it. I'm using that as an example, as you know. And everybody kind of just, well, especially if you're a religious person, you say, well, that's just, that's the way God planned it. And in reality, it's kind of true. Yeah, it's the way everything's kind of programmed, but it also can be messed with, as we all notice too, because whether it's GMOs or things like that, once you understand the mechanics behind this reality, you can manipulate it. So it's not a far stretch to understand that well, for sure we can manipulate ourselves. And I guess kind of what I'm heading towards now, like I said, it's almost like all these topics end up getting connected, which they are, because we're talking about the whole big story here. But if you notice, like take for instance with pharma, they're trying to manipulate physicality, especially our physical bodies. That's what they've been studying, is how to manipulate them chemically. So they don't really, their intent is never to heal the problem, but it's more to chemically, basically, well, it's chemically manipulating it so it'll take away the symptoms, relieve the symptoms, but never actually cure the problem. And that's become a huge industry in itself. But like I said, I want to really go into that. But the reason why that topic is important is because just to say that everything can be tweaked or manipulated, which is true. And from what they've been telling me, and this is probably pretty obvious to a lot of people now, especially, but these realities, this one's called Earth that we're on, it has all the makings of us once we get our frequency tuned to be on here, which we are. These human bodies are, in a sense, the frequency of Earth. So that's because they work in this module, this reality. They can be, in other words, everything on Earth that we need to survive, sustain, and heal is already here. So, whether you call them, ancient like shamans or, medicine men, things like that, things of these people that understood how nature works. There's a lot of cures out there that exist in nature. Someone says, "Oh, that old weed, just cut it down, throw it, or burn it away, whatever." But that old weed, there's something in that, some sort of thing that's connected to Earth and our bodies at the same time, and it has healing properties. So, as you know, for instance, that's why big pharma or chemical companies, they try to find out what's happening in nature and they try to duplicate it, and then once they can chemically duplicate it, then they can change it to take away its healing powers and just make it as a kind of just a pain reliever or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like what I'm getting at is everything on this planet can be messed with, whether it's our DNA. So the reality is, once we all start realizing that, it's like, well, you know what? Let's just go back to nature. Let's let things go the more natural way. That's the way we should be. we shouldn't be messing with our bodies and things like that. So including, and here's where it becomes a little more magical, including because we are programmers to these modules, I keep calling them modules, but to these planets that we are experiencing life on, we actually are part of the programmers. We can actually change things. This is something that you guys are going to find out, and this is what I mean when I kept on saying that we're really powerful creatures. We are. We're going to be waking up to that. Because, okay, when you realize it, well, we're being dummied down constantly. But I'm just saying, when you realize that you're actually one of the computer programmers for this hologram, then you can change the program. Or what I've decided to do is I don't play into, I keep calling our controllers, because what it is they've hacked the system and they're making the rules now. And I'm going, no, you know what? I'm just not playing. I'm not playing the doctor game. I'm not playing the money game. I'm not playing I want to live by myself. I want to live the way we are intended to live. So I woke up to it, and I didn't even understand it at the time. I don't want to play. I'm the type of person that I don't conform very, very easily at all. I question everything. Anyway, I keep going on and changing topics a bit. So that's about it for today. And I've got other topics I'm going to sort of expand on. And yeah, as usual, I have to go through my notes. And like I said, because they've been giving me these really, really interesting concepts that I write down over a long period of time. And then it's interesting how they do that, I think, too, because then I've got, like, for instance, a week to mull it over in my head. Not only to try to digest it in my brain and really make it make sense, and also try to memorize it, too, because, like, really, that's a strange... But it's also to try to unprogram our brains, because we are programmable, too. That's what indoctrination is. All this stuff, you got to be careful, because we're being programmed in a lot of ways, and we got to kind of just realize it. First of all, realize it, go, no, you know what? That doesn't make sense to me, or I don't want to do that. What's so bad about saying, I don't want to do that? I don't want to have to do stuff that I don't want to do. There's nothing wrong with that. It's called freedom. Anyway, okay, before I go on too much more on this, stay positive, like I said, because staying positive is basically programming your brain and people around you. It affects everybody. Okay, stay positive. Goodbye.